Hey, looky here. It's a Suzuki DR200. I recently picked this bike up and noticed that there's not a lot of information on the internet about these. And on YouTube, there's a few things, but I'm going to do a few things to this bike to make it a little bit more fitted to me. And so I'll put a few videos together of some different modifications I'm going to make, see if it maybe helps some people out. So let's start. Now, a few things that I'm going to address. Starting right at the front, like my DR650 had, it's got a great big old sail of a fender on there. I'm going to change that, I believe. And I do like the large tank, a lot of range with this little bike. And I'm going to get in here with the carburetor, do some jetting. I'm going to put a different filter in, a twin air filter, and drill some holes in the top of the airbox. I'm going to put a pipe on it. And not necessarily that I like it louder, but it saves a little bit of weight. And this thing is pretty choked off. Right now, I can get a top speed of about 50, and that is it. So I think there's probably some unhappiness in the carburetor. And although it runs real good and smooth, starts easy, but it just doesn't have much power. So between the pipe, uncorking that, getting some more air in, getting some more fuel into it, that's going to help. I'm going to do a little bit of suspension things, just some real low budget tricks there that we'll see if they work or not. And, get this thing to come around a little bit for us. Might be the first time this carburetor's been apart, but and it's a 2004 model. And so I got the jets out. They were not exactly perfect and clean inside. It's a 125 main jet and 35 pilot jet. I had to zoom my phone in on those teeny tiny numbers with my old eyes to see them, but I got them, and I'm going to go get a little step bigger jets so I can go on with the rest of this. And then this is going to go over into what's in the cabinet there, my ultrasonic cleaner, and get her cleaned on up. Well, here we go. Got this apart, and this pin that usually slides right out to pull the floats and then get your needle and stuff out. I mean, it is kind of like pressed in there. And I beat on it a little bit. It wasn't coming out. Nah, I'm not going to mess anything up. So I just took carb cleaner and stuff and squirted it down in there real good and cleaned everything out and then air hosed it out. It was all looking clean in here. So I know we're probably pretty good there. On to the jets. The stock jet is a 125. I went and got a 127.5, and they didn't have any other pilot jets, so I'm just going to stay with the factory one. And then down to the hardware store, I found these little darlings, these little washers. They are right at 30 thousandths each. So I'm going to start with one in there to shim that needle up a little higher and put her back together, run it, see what we got. All right, back to work on the bike a little bit, and what are we gonna do? Well, ooh, look at that stuff. Okay, she's back and running. It's a little happier now. Starts and runs real smooth, and I picked up about 5 miles an hour. I was just hitting past 55, running up the road coming home before I shut her down. So a little bit better, and let's get a listen to the stock exhaust. Oh, hello. Like you've heard. Now let's change that. We'll try that. And moving right along, you'll see some differences here. Got the muffler on, and that with the carburetor done, jetted up a little bit more. I went from that 125 main to a 127.5, a little more flow. And so now if I'm laying on the tank, like Raleigh free in the salt flats, I can just about touch 60. And I thought, well, I should get a little more than that. But I thought, well, I don't know. But with the pipe and stuff, it is more responsive, and it just feels more powerful all the way through. And sounds better. You know, we'll do a video on that a little bit later. And so that's cool. And from there, I'm moving on to, you'll see here, I put this cool UFO fender on the front. Now, if you do go to do that, you got to drill your own holes in these, and which isn't hard. You take the old fender and the new fender, put them, you know, side to side like that, and just mark your holes and zip, 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 drill them. However, if you do this on the new fender, you want to make sure these back holes are clear at the back. Otherwise, you'll hit down in here. So this is biased forward about as much as I could, which is kind of like the factory one. And so I think that looks way better than this big old 80s looking thing. So we got that. Now, yep, the forks are off, and I've been out riding this on some trails, and the suspension is not really there. It just beats you. It's pretty poor. But these are made for a little person, not me. And so what I did is I cranked up the preload on the rear shock, you know, sitting there tapping on those rings and turned them around until it was all the way up. That made a big difference. It's actually tolerable now. But the front forks, you know, they're really soft. They're a progressive rate spring. What I see some guys do is cut the progressive section off and put a longer spacer in there, so you're all in the higher rate of the spring. I thought, well, I could do that, but before I do, I'm just going to put heavier oil in it and see how that works with the action. It's not so much the height, it's the action of just clunking down. So I'm putting 20 weight oil in the forks. I'm going to put those on, give this thing a try. So now, I was wondering, should this go more than 60? You know, you read a lot of different stuff. And I don't really need to be going 60. It's nice. I can go 45, 50 down the road and just, it's fine. But I thought, maybe I'm missing something. And it dawned on me the other day. Since I bought this bike and just started doing stuff, I've never even checked the tire pressure. Well, I got 14 pounds in the back, 12 in the front. A little more rolling resistance. So when I put the forks back in, I'm going to pump those tires up, do a top speed run, see what we got. So we'll see how that works. So here are the fork springs, and you'll see the higher rate part here going to the softer part there. That's what they say you can cut off and put a spacer in here, which we won't do unless we decide we need to. I'm just going to run that heavier fork oil and see how the action works there. And also, in my internet snooping, I found that a shock 1983 Yamaha Virago 500, that this spring will work on my shock there if I decide I need a heavier rate spring. And so I bought one of these on eBay for practically nothing. And so that's in the toolbox in case we need to try it too. But let's get the forks together, get this thing going. Listen to that bad motor scooter. Yeah, it talks to you a little bit. But a guy can put one of those little quiet tip inserts in it to take a little bark off if you want. But if I'm going to go out and do some trails and I want to be nice and quiet, just take 5 minutes and put the old muffler back on. And here we are. What did I accomplish with this project? I wanted a lightweight bike I can put on my hitch carrier and take with me as a camp bike. This does that. It has a big tank, 3.3 gallons. I can drive it all weekend without thinking about filling it back up again. It's simple. It's easy to keep running. It's going to be dependable as all get out. Like my 650, I've had that bike for almost 20 years. I just use it and use it and use it. You can't wear them out. So I figured good old Suzuki Blue is going to do me good again. Couple of adjustments, just the, fork oil, adjust the shock, pulled the carburetor, cleaned it out good, rejetted, pipe, this and that, just basic stuff. And it works good. It's a little bit better. Is it a highway bike? No. You can just barely hit 60, fine. But the motor is smooth, it's got good pep, it's eager for what you're gonna do. Country roads, 45, 50, trails, just go exploring. You're not going to be racing and jumping and doing all that stuff. That's not what it's for. It's just for getting me around dependably and with a little bit of fun. And it does that. Should anybody buy a DR200? I don't know. They're plentiful. They're pretty cheap. And you can find one that's not been all used up and destroyed like this one. And it'll last me for as long as I want to keep twisting the throttle on it. And it'll do the job. There are better light bikes. I can spend more money and get something better, but this is just going to do what I need. And that was a whole exercise here. I don't have a lot of money tied up into it, and it's going to serve me just fine, and it's going to run for longer than I ever even want to drive the thing. It'll go and go and go and go forever. So there you go. A simple, basic, lightweight, get you around motor scooter. I like it. I think it'll work just fine.